Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor, how much did the shelter at home program cost?
Sorry about that. Congressman, we have not closed out the program yet.
How much has it cost so far?
I think about $157 million. I think we're expecting $164, $165 million by the time it closes out.
All right. How much did you receive in federal funds?
For the shelter at home?
Well, for the disaster as a whole.
Well, it's hard to answer. The shelter at home funding is coming from FEMA with a cost share from the state.
I think you mentioned it a while ago. $1.6 billion was approved.
Yeah, the chairman mentioned that. That's for the CDBG piece. It's been approved. We have not received the funding yet.
How much money has been distributed to those affected by the flood?
Out of the CDBG, none.
Okay. You did not call for an evacuation, is that correct? When the report was coming, the flood was on the way, what did you call statewide an evacuation?
I don't know that we called for a statewide evacuation other than in those low-lying areas where we asked people to move before the roads became impassable.
As I understand, the National Weather Service was predicting this was going to be a storm, the damage of which floods would go beyond that of 1983. Why would you not call an evacuation?
Yeah, I'm not sure the National Weather Service said that in advance of the rain falling. And in fact, this was not a storm that we would typically have in Louisiana where you have a tropical storm or hurricane.
From what I understand, National Weather Service made that prediction. Well, let me put it this way. Did the state do everything that you could to prepare for the flood?
I am convinced that we did a very good job, in fact, working with FEMA, as I said earlier, before and during and in the immediate aftermath of the storm in terms of the response. Yes, sir.
So you would give yourself what kind of grade?
Well, a high grade. I don't think anything's ever perfect, and certainly we learned lessons. But I would give ourselves a B plus, something on that.
A B plus with this
Sure.
kind of horrible outcome. That sounds like a very generous grade when there's so much destruction. How many people are still have permanently still been displaced from their homes?
Well, I don't have the number for how many are permanently displaced from their homes in terms of not back in today, because there are multiple programs that provide relief for homeowners, including the National Flood Insurance Program, and I'm not sure where they are in terms of getting claims paid and homes repaired. We do know that there were 112,000 homes with FEMA verified loss, and that's a very significant.
But you don't know how many of those homes have been repaired or how many are back in their homes?
I do not know across the board. I know that there are far too many homes that are not repaired, and we have too many people who are not living in their homes, which is one of the reasons that I'm here today and continue to come back asking for additional assistance.
Is it true that you were at a fundraiser in Colorado when the National Weather Service was calling for a flood in your home state?
No, sir.
It's not true?
No, sir.
Where were you?
I was in Colorado at a Democratic Governors Association conference.
Okay. When did you return?
That afternoon, the Friday afternoon, the same day the rain started.
All right. Is it true that days following the flood, you told a media reporter that the state was not in need of federal flood resources?
I don't believe I would have said that. I would have said that there wasn't anything that the local governments were asking for that we were unable to provide.
From what I understand, the comment was made that you did not need any federal resources. I was wondering why you would make such a claim with such a devastating flood.
Well, I think if I recall correctly, the conversation was around requesting the federal disaster declaration. We were working with the regional coordinating officer from FEMA to determine the most appropriate time to request that declaration. And one of the things you have to certify with my signature is that the local governments are asking for assistance we are unable to provide. It wasn't until that was the case, and I was able to make that certification, that we requested the declaration, which we received very, very promptly.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. But Governor, all due respect, it looks to me like one disaster led to another disaster from decisions coming from the state. I cannot imagine how you would give yourself a B+ in this. But with that, Mr. Chairman, I thank you and I yield back.
Gentleman yields.